The City of Boerne has a series of boards and commissions, and it allows residents to be directly involved in our city while making a difference. And the options are as diverse as the community that it serves. For many years, the city had 10 boards and commissions: the Boerne Public Facility Corporation, Convention and Visitor Bureau Advisory Board, Ethics Review Commission, Historic Landmark Commission, Impact Fee Advisory Committee, the Kendall County Library Advisory Board, the Patrick Heath Public Library Advisory Board, Planning and Zoning Commission, the Public Housing Authority, and the Zoning Board of Adjustment and Appeals. With the passage of the Unified Development Code in 2021, we created another, the Design Review Committee.
The impact that our volunteers bring is immediate. It brings local expertise to the table. It allows us to have a fresh viewpoint on what our citizens want.
It's a great opportunity to shape local government and policies in a direct way and have your voice be heard while enhancing a sense of belonging and ownership. It can also connect someone with others in the community who might have similar passions and interests. Participation in our boards and commissions is also a great potential to expand your horizons in terms of building a new level of interest or expertise, develop communication and leadership skills, and it opens your eyes to what resources and services the city offers and how you can utilize them. The time spent can really pay off. Members work with a staff liaison, so it allows a direct channel to understand what is happening.
It is very important to note that every single board and commission has different rules and regulations. Some are governed by the state and some are by local ordinances and resolutions.
It is 5:30 and we will call this Board of Directors of the Boerne Public Facility Corporation meeting to order.
In our next video series on boards and commissions, we are highlighting the Boerne Public Facility Corporation. It was authorized by the state of Texas in September of 2017 to address housing needs in Boerne.
It's a way of accessing funding for projects otherwise not available. So to put it in short terms, it allows a development to access a different type of funding which has tax exempt status, which makes it able to fund projects and actually do projects that otherwise probably wouldn't happen at all.
For Boerne specifically, it was created to address the need for affordable housing as defined by the state of Texas.
The residents living in there only need to pay a reduced rent on because of the advantages of the bond funding.
But there are other multiple ways the PFC can be used.
It can be used for any public purpose, however. You could build a parking garage with the PFC funding. And so there are other opportunities, I think, in the future for the city to avail themselves of utilizing the PFC for some really cool projects.
The corporation is organized exclusively for the purpose of assisting the city in financing, refinancing, or providing public facilities. And while the list of possible uses is extensive, just as extensive are the rules and regulations required by all parties to follow for their project to receive this specific kind of designation.
It's an animal of the state, and so as you can imagine, utilizing the TDHCA, Texas Department of Housing and Community Affairs, they have a very strict set of rules that the developer has to follow, the city has to follow. On the first project, the Live Boerne project, I recall going to San Antonio to finalize and close on the project, and literally the stack of papers was this deep for rules and regulations that had to be complied with.
Between 2017 and 2021, the corporation has only approved 2 projects in Boerne. And in 2021, the board members updated the rules to allow a member of the Boerne Independent School District and Kendall County the ability to participate in future projects. When it comes to promoting Boerne, that's where the Convention and Visitors Bureau comes in. But this city department also gets some assistance from members of the community.
We do have a Cvb Advisory Board. We meet on a quarterly basis.
The 9-member advisory board advises City Council on marketing and tourism programs and activities to enhance and promote tourism in Boerne and the surrounding area.
What their charge is for the rest of the year is just to assist us in any ideas, recommendations. They're an advisory board to the CVB, so we enjoy having them. We have a great board, and it's a lot of fun.
One of those ideas came to fruition in 2021. A subgroup of the advisory met and helped create a new slogan for the CVB.
So we pulled in 4 members and put a marketing committee together, and through that process we came up with Boerne, an elevated hill country experience, which is working very, very well.
The primary charge of the board is to hear applicants that are asking for hotel occupancy tax funds for a qualifying festival or event that they would like to have in Boerne. Of the 13% collected on each hotel room, 6% goes to the state of Texas and the rest stays right here in Boerne.
By state laws, rules, and regulations, we have to spend that money in a certain way. It certainly supports the visitor center, but it costs the local taxpayer no money whatsoever. It's a tax paid by our visitors to come stay in Boerne.
All members are appointed by the mayor and approved by city council. They must reside within the city limits for Kendall County and/or own, operate, manage, or control a hotel, motel, or bed and breakfast within the city limits. Two of the smaller boards and commissions are the Ethics Review Committee and the Impact Fee Advisory Committee, but their roles are very important. First, we'll explain the Impact Advisory Fee Committee.
The Impact Advisory Fee Committee was created by the legislature, and its purpose is to provide some oversight for the city as it's looking to set it to collect impact fees from different developers.
The group meets twice a year.
For example, we're constantly adding new pipes for water and for sewage here in town. And so this is a means to allow the cost for that to be shared, not by the people who are already paying the rates, but for those new people who are coming on board and will be adding the additional infrastructure.
Have we done any studies, or has someone done a study that shows the price elasticity of impact fees? Is it
They also advise and assist the city in adopting land use assumptions, our capital improvement plans, and impact fees, which are assessed on water and wastewater services.
We ask a lot of lay people type of questions, but surprisingly, those are important questions to ask. And then they can break down the money they're going to spend, when they're going to spend it, why it needs to be spent, and we can help bring a outsider's point of view.
They also review, monitor, and evaluate the implementation of the capital improvements plan. Next up is the Ethics Review Committee. Created by the city, they meet annually or hold special meetings to address complaints.
I think it's very important. Obviously, you don't want the committee to meet, but you want citizens to have confidence that those that they've elected and those who have been appointed by those that were elected operate with the highest integrity.
Since its creation in 2011, the committee has never been called to launch an investigation.
It's much better to have been proactive and have the commission in place so that if there's a need, all of the guidelines are set out and what happens in the event of a complaint, what guidelines we follow.
Both Cahoon and Fryer believe it's important for residents to serve their communities.
I'd like to say I've got a servant heart, and I just believe that if you don't, plan on stepping up and helping serve the community, then it's kind of hard to sit on the sidelines and complain about things that are going on. So I'm always interested in getting involved where I, think I can contribute in the right ways.
Whether that's doing things on the city front or anywhere else in town where there's a need, I think you owe it to your community and your neighbors to get out and try to make a difference.
With the goal of protecting Boerne's historic Main Street, the Historic Landmark Commission works to balance our community's growth while promoting preservation.
We're charged with specifically dealing with that portion of town on Main Street from on the north side up by the fire department all the way down to Oak Park on the south side. And we're really protecting about one lot deep on Main Street, just trying to make sure that we have the ability to preserve the character of this town, some of the important buildings of this town, like the Dinger Building, the City Hall, the old City Hall or utility building, some of those structures that you think of when you think of Boerne.
An offshoot of the Planning and Zoning Commission, the group meets monthly to advocate on behalf of what residents have asked for.
We think it's really important because when people would do surveys and they'd say, hey, why is it you like Boerne? They'd always say, oh, it's the character of the downtown. Those are the buildings that were built anywhere from the 1860s through about the 1940s, 1950s that kind of say, this is what Boerne looks like.
For more than a decade, Ben Adam, a sixth-generation Boerne native with family ties dating back to 1849, has served on the HLC.
So I've seen a lot of change over time, and I'm not against change. But what I do want to do as somebody who lives in the community is to say, let's make sure that the kind of changes we make are the kind of changes that everyone can be proud of, that it's a community that is growing and vibrant, but at the same time keeps a nod to the past and remembers those things that made us who we are as Boerne is.
While initially created to focus on the downtown region, the commission expanded its horizon to make sure any permit for demolition of a structure more than 50 years old is brought before the 7-member commission for review.
It doesn't mean that the demolition permit's not going to be recommended, but it does put a process in place where we can say, is this something that's important to the community? And if it is it important enough that we save it?
And it's going to be a stone wall. Columns are going to be approximately 3.5 feet high.
Are there any questions, concerns, things you want to express?
Partnership and cooperation is at the heart of the committee's work. Adam points to the St. Helena's expansion in the mid-2000s as a great example of smart growth that fits the character of the city.
And in that case, they worked with the Historic Landmark Commission to say, we want to build something new, but we want it to look like what it was old, and they worked in conjunction with the Historic Landmark Commission to get a structure so that everybody was happy.
The Boerne native also believes serving on behalf of his community is important, and he encourages others to get involved.
So I'd encourage you, if you care about those kind of things, it's an open meeting, voice your opinion, come and support your community. You live here, and as citizens, we'd love you to be involved.
In Kendall County, there are 2 separate entities that help make sure we have quality programming and modern approaches in our library system. The city is a member of the Kendall County Library System Advisory Board through contributions provided by Kendall County.
As folks may or may not know, that you've got 3 wonderful libraries in Kendall County: the Patrick Heath Public Library, the Kendall Library, and the Comfort Library. So 2 people from the community are supplied from each library, and then each of the library directors are also on the committee.
With 3 primary responsibilities, the board advises the county library coordinator on issues and ideas of mutual concern, coordinates the joint activities and products of the 3 libraries, and makes recommendations to the Kendall County Commissioners Court during the annual budget process.
The city of Boerne provides the largest support to the Boerne Library, the Patrick Heath Public Library. But the county also provides support, and then and it provides the vast majority of support to the other 2 libraries, Kendall and Comfort. You know, in the county, we have a free library system where the patrons don't have to pay. But anyone who lives in Kendall County can go to any one of the libraries and use their services for free. And we champion that. That's an important thing to us.
The other board is the Patrick Heath Advisory Board. The members advise City Council through recommendations concerning the funding, programming development, operations, and capital development of the library.
The programming is exceptional, but each department of the library really goes to exceptional lengths to make sure that their area, their age group, is well cared for. As the advisory board, we primarily support the staff. We discuss policies. Often we need to update policies, make changes to them. Sometimes that comes from changes in laws, for example, or changes in the community, the structure of the community, and so forth. So we do a lot of policy work. We ask a lot of questions. There are opportunities to be a part of sort of envisioning the vision for the future. Because as our community grows, we want to be able to serve every part of that community.
The board also advises the librarian and serves as an advocate for the library by encouraging other organizations and the public to support the library. The board also supports the Friends of the Boerne Public Library in their efforts. One of the busiest commissions in the city of Boerne is the Planning and Zoning Commission. These volunteers are helping to shape Boerne's future by recommending what should go where within the city and in a limited role the city's extraterritorial jurisdiction.
For example, just recently we adopted a unified development code. It governs how all that land can be used and the purpose of that land: commercial, retail, residential, multifamily. It's sort of a land use planning guide that the city implements and has implemented in a broad scope and a broad basis.
The Unified Development Code was adopted in 2021 after more than 2 years of work, public meetings, and input from the community. But just because a certain property may be zoned a certain way does not mean that it can't change.
For example, if someone wants to rezone their property from C1 to C2, then they've got to come before the Planning and Zoning Commission to do that.
And while change can happen, the commission is regulated by state law and limited in their ability to deny projects.
The legislature in Austin has taken it upon themselves to make it very, very difficult for towns and cities like Boerne to govern themselves. But, that being said, we still have a lot of tools in our toolkit to manage the process. Boerne is growing and growing very quickly. And so the commission as a whole, I know, is sensitive to how we manage that growth and oversee that growth in the best way possible. I, for one, and the rest of my commissioners are committed to maintaining Boerne's special quality and character.
The Planning and Zoning Commission is comprised of 7 members, each appointed by the mayor and approved by City Council to serve a 3-year term. They are required to meet monthly, but oftentimes a small number of members have meetings with city staff and the people trying to develop their property to further examine proposals beforehand.
So it is a platted lot. The property is bounded by Norris Lane on the west.
So we're hoping that by vetting this through a subcommittee, through the Planning and Zoning Committee itself, and then getting to council, that by the time it gets to the City Council, all issues have been vetted appropriately and the council can take the appropriate action. I would hope that by a small subcommittee of 3 Planning and Zoning Commissioners meets with the developer applicant to work things out, work out the variance, other requirements that we can impose upon the development because they're coming to us seeking a variance. And then when it gets to the Planning and Zoning Commission, most likely next month, then hopefully we'll have unanimous vote. And that's a strong signal to council that we think this is something that's good for our community and good for Boerne long term.
It is through this transparent manner that the Planning and Zoning Commission is working tirelessly to make sure Boerne is the best it can be today, as well as into the future. Serving the city since 1978, the Boerne Public Housing Authority has been helping residents of the city for generations.
We assist families paying their rent. Based on their income, we pay a portion of their rent to their landlords, and then they pay a certain percentage of their rent to the landlord also.
And since 2009, Barbara Chrisman has been a board member. With all funding coming from the Department of Housing and Urban Development, she and the board helps make sure the program is run efficiently, oversees the budget, approves and adopts all policies, and adheres to Title IX of the Civil Rights Act.
Right now we have 60 people on the program. We utilize every single penny. HUD gives us our money. They give us what they're going to give us. Based on what we've been spending the last 3 months, they give us what we're going to get.
Like other small housing authorities across the country, the list of applicants is never exhausted.
The waiting list right now is about 50 people. We are the City of Boerne only. We are not Kendall County. So being that we are a smaller area, the need's growing every year. We keep our waiting list closed. It hasn't been open, unfortunately, since 2016.
And the time it takes to receive housing is measured in years.
We all run by waiting lists. So unfortunately, when you're on the waiting list, you're looking about a 3 to 5 year wait. But the wonderful thing about the program is once you're on it, as long as you're income eligible, and most people, someone that like say a retirement who's living off Social Security, or they're just on fixed income, as long as they are income eligible, they're going to be on the program for as long as needed.
She also finds that in many instances, she is playing Mythbuster about the clients she helps find housing for.
Absolutely, there's such a stigma. There's a lot of landlords, and we see it here in Boerne, where they see the name Section 8 and they just don't even want to work with us. So we explain to them, this could be any family, and just because they're on low income does not mean that they're bad, does not mean they're going to destroy the unit. We're there to be an advocate for both sides.
For many, the program helps single parents and those living on fixed incomes, such as retirees.
So it's just a really vital part of this community, and it's been wonderful to help all the families. We become like family with them. They're not just a person, a number. They really truly are somebody that we're here to help.
And for Chrisman, there is an immeasurable reward in helping people find safe, quality housing.
We're letting them know that we're going to definitely work with the community, work with our landlords, get safe and decent housing for them, and that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. They get so excited to be able to move into these homes. It's a quality of life for them.
The commissioners on the authority meet 4 times a year and serve 2-year terms.
The Board of Adjustment is a group of people that look at unique situations that apply to each individual's property. The hardship is what we focus on most. It's not based on the human hardship, but more on the property hardship.
Do I have a vote for yay?
And every hardship, just like every property, is different, which is why each case brought before the Board of Adjustment and Appeals is different, and no single vote sets a precedence. So you might be asking, what is a possible hardship?
If it has a unique setback situation or an angular setback situation, or the land slopes off from one side to the next, or there's a large predominant tree that's been there for a long time, those would cause hardship for the variance.
But the top requested variance is not what you think it is.
The most common thing is that people will buy a storage shed or build a storage shed without getting a permit, and then they're not in compliance with the setbacks.
The easiest way to avoid this type of conflict beforehand, whether it be a shed in addition to your home, building a patio or pool, is to call our code compliance office.
Go take a visit with the permitting office or with planning department with the city and make sure that what you're wanting to do is not going to cause any variances. At that point, they can look at it and say, well, you have a unique situation. Maybe you would want to consider going for a variance.
And serving on the board is about far more than just being a member.
Knowing that you're doing something for the city, for the benefit of what's already been done in the past, current, and then in the future. Having a understanding of that, someone that's in the building business or in the architectural or design business, take on a position like this just to get to know better what's going on in our city.
Many of the boards and commissions report to the City Council, and they rely on their review of the material and recommendations. They also have an impact on the way our city grows. The meetings, dates, and times varies for each board and commission. If you would like any additional information, you can reach out to the City Secretary's office, or you can head over to our website for additional information. Thank you so much for watching.